Hello and welcome into Fresh Shaves, my first impression reviews of new releases. And today we're covering Liturgy of Death by Mayhem. Over 40 years in, and Mayhem are putting out new material, not just new material, arguably their best material? Question mark. I think there is a case to be made that if you got someone who liked black metal but had never heard any Mayhem before, hey, it might exist. I've never heard any Emperor before, and I love black metal, so anomalies exist. But if you got someone who likes black metal and never heard any Mayhem before and showed them their entire discography now, I think that person would probably say Liturgy of Death is their best album. Anyone else who's familiar with the band, you'd probably put the Mistress Dom Sunfist, or however you pronounce it, DMDS, as your top. Either way, they're on the same level, and I've seen other people refer to this as basically the direct sequel of DMDS. And sure enough, from the opening track, it feels like a throwback, like everything down to the tone of the guitars, the more kind of haunting, slower pace. Black metal's evolved to be very intense, but you go back and you listen to DMDS and you're like, oh, that intensity comes in ebbs and flows. It's actually quite slow and haunting at times, and they've really brought that back into the mix. And I really like that because, it's not only a throwback to their older styles, but it's also just kind of incorporating everything black metal's been over the last 40 years and how it's pulled in kind of adjacent genres like dungeon synth into the mix and kind of stirred that into it as well. But listening to, the goats of the genre, pun intended about goat heads, I guess, really just kind of highlights how thousands of clones who have come after Mayhem have not properly grasped and taken away what made it so great to recreate it. And it really just takes the OGs to come through and be like, here's how it's done, kids. How it's done is, elements like your guitars, there's those big scale hooks. It's very important to the sound. Bad bands, they will just hammer on tremolo picking the entire long ass time, like 7 minutes of just intense picking. There's no these big hooks that black metal has always had, but newer people who are a bit up their assholes, they think it's a bit too commercial to have a hook in your song. It's always been there, dude. Also on that, drum patterns as well. So many bad bands, will just hammer on double kicks the entire time, and this has that. But then it has all these really nice fills at the end of each section. Again, another overall. This is going to be one of the best drummed black metal albums I've ever heard. I had to go and look it up. I'm like, is this Hellhammer? I don't want to say there's no way this is Hellhammer, but I'm like, if this is Hellhammer, he's really stepped up his game on this album. And pleasantly surprised to see that it was Hellhammer. And yeah, they're not lacking in intensity. It's certainly there, but they craft their intensity well. Whereas, a bad album will just be all intense all the time, and it creates fatigue. This is intense when it needs to be, pulls back when it doesn't, builds, is very dynamic. It can build intensity, and, it creates this sense of panic and fear. Really plays on your emotions, and, your little lizard brain to be like, oh god, there's a swell coming. My body is emotionally reacting to the swell. Whereas bad bands just bam, 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 and you're just like, oh, okay, this is just loud and shit, turn it off. So, yeah, I think it really just stands head and shoulders above the last 40 years of the scene. They've really smashed out the park on that. I'm going to repeat that sentiment so many times during this review. I'm sorry, it is. But yeah, it just contains a lot of what I want to hear of in metal in general. Like I've said there, they've been really good in how dynamic they build the songs, where it's pairing these intense sections, but also when it slows down, it doesn't just slow the beat down. They change vocal styles. They'll play in different registers. Apologies for my lack of. I have no musical formal theory understanding. So they play lower notes essentially. It brings the entire mood of the song down. Is what I'm trying to get at, and I find that other bands, and I hate to just keep comparing it to what other people are doing wrong, but that's kind of everything I thought on my first impression was, why is this so much better than the last 40 years of the genre? I didn't be like, oh wow, this is amazing. I'm like, what was wrong with all those other ones? It's what really came to my mind, and it's what I've written down in my notes. And what those bands aren't doing is they're not changing mood. They will change one of those elements. They will slow the BPM down. They will play lower notes. They will change a vocal style. But by just doing one of those things, it doesn't really change the whole mood of the song. When you do kind of all of them together, or even just a few of them together at the right time and in the right way, yeah, you can really make something go from like very angry and aggressive to very sad, melancholic in the same single song. And God, there are lots of narrative-heavy bands that aren't doing that and should. But, even for a non-narrative band like Mayhem, it's still very effective and really just pulls you in. It sucks you into the song. When you get emotionally invested in the song by playing on your subconscious brain, you're gonna just naturally bond to it. It's hard to become background noise when it's, causing your heartbeat to change. And that, in a nutshell, in a singular song is great, but they've also done it across the entire album. I feel as the album goes along, it gets more and more aggressive. At the start, it's like, oh, these are songs about death. And at the end, it's like, these are songs about them coming to kill me. I need to hide. Especially Preposterous Death. There's just so much assault on the notes. Like, it hits harder, and it breaks harder when it comes off. It's just very aggressive, sharp cuts. And, again, it really builds into that intensity of like, oh man, this is an attack. And it didn't start as an attack, so like we're built up to this point, and it really just sucks you in and makes you, want to shield your head. It's like, oh shit, Mayhem's gonna kill me. So yeah, 42 years, and not only are they still the standard, Mayhem is still raising the standard. I think the only thing that is missing is a super memorable riff, and I put most of that to blame on the intensity of like kind of when it is so fast and hammering, you lose the ability to create that moment where people can really just focus in on one riff and be like, oh yeah, that's good. But then also legacy riffs, like the one to Chainsaw Gutsfuck, they're built on 40 years of influence and like repeat listenings. So, it's the whole point of this being a first impressions review is I can't say that a riff from this isn't going to be an absolute earworm in 40 years. It's impossible to judge. It takes me back to my original point of like, you'd have to get someone who is devoid of any knowledge of Mayhem and show them both albums and ask what they think is the best riffs. And hey, some of those might grow on me, like the one in Realm of Endless Misery. It's got this absolutely filthy chord progression. I love it every time I hear it. I just haven't been hearing it for, 15 years. It's about how long I've been listening to extreme metal, so maybe in 15 years' time, I'll be like, oh, man, Realm of Endless Misery, the best black metal riff. Who knows? There was also just a small thing of they dropped a single that didn't appear on the album. It really confused me. I'm like, I was looking at the track list, I'm like, there used to be a song called Life is a Corpse You Drag, right? I'm not imagining that. I had to go into Spotify and find it. It exists, I'm not crazy. And then looking into it further, that's a bonus track on the physical release only. So weird that in the album as a whole, digitally, it doesn't appear there, but the track is still available digitally. I don't know the decision-making behind that, but yeah, I thought I was crazy for a moment. I'm like, no, there's definitely a song called Life is a Corpse You Drag. It's real. I'm not crazy, man. And sure enough, I'm not crazy, man. But yeah, as an album, really, no notes on it. If they toured, and they're just like, hey, we're gonna play this whole album live and none of the old shit, I'd go to that show happily. I'd be like, hell yeah, fuck it, they're great, can't wait to hear all of this live. And it ends on this really cool, like, just tribal beat outro. Man, I felt like I needed a cigarette after my first listen to this. It was an experience. I was just thrilled the whole way through, as well as dread and panic and all these, like, harsh negative emotions. But at the end of it, it's like being on a roller coaster. I'm like, oh shit, that was awesome. I was screaming the whole time. And additional listens, it breezes by that 49 minutes. It just breezes by. It is such an enjoyable listening, and each time you just pick out something else. I'm like, that's so good. Why has no one else done that in 40 years of the genre? So good. And it's also just got this like beautiful soundscape across the whole album you can just get lost in. It is just a masterpiece of a full album composition. Hey, maybe that's why they dropped a single off the digital release. Maybe it didn't fit the soundscape they were going for. Crafting an album as a whole album, as a start to finish playthrough, is such an art form on its own, devoid of just writing 8 good songs. So kudos to them for even nailing that aspect. The ordering of the tracks. So look, I'm gonna give this an S tier. It's fantastic. I hope it grows on me even more, but this is just a standard setter for the genre in the modern age. This might be the best 2020s black metal album we get. So hats off to, not literally, but hats off to Mayhem for 42 years on, still being able to put out music like this, despite everything that band's gone through. And you can do your own research, but if you're watching this, you probably already know that band has been through a lot. And here they are at the end of it all. At their age, 40 years, this could be their last album, and if it is, what a note to go out on. Just kudos to Mayhem. Kudos. Thank you for watching. Really, go check out this album if you're into extreme metal, or even if you just tolerate extreme metal, and as long as the composition is good, you'll be able to enjoy good music, even if it's not your usual flavour. Other than that, YouTuber stuff, like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world to me. And catch you at the next one. Peace.